I would like to have you make sure that this is going to work the way you think it will. Right now, when we look at this piece, you can see gravity is not acting on this piece. It would be important for you to test your digital prototype in a digital way to make sure that it is going to sit at the right angle, right? So right now, if I click on the box on a side, right, I can look at this directly on the side. A couple of other things to think about. One, this is our origin point, right? And our green line is the ground plane. And you'll see, if I zoom in here, it's very hard to see, sorry. This is the green line, right? And the green line goes right through my piece. So at some point, my piece got below the ground plane. I would like to move that up. Now, I would also like to tilt it so that this is on the ground plane and this backside is also on the ground plane. So all of this moving, because I have these two pieces together the way I want them, requires me to move both of them together. To do that, you're going to select one body and then hold the command key down to select the other one. I'm doing that because I have another body that I have blinked that I don't want to select. So this lets me select two bodies that are not next to each other. Okay. So then to move that, I'm going to hit the M key. And the first thing I'm going to do is move them both up to the point where my piece is on the ground plane, which pretty close. Okay. So then it's set on the ground plane. Now I'm going to zoom back out and I want to rotate this doop 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 until the back part is also on the ground plane. Like right now it's still in midair, not helping me. You can do this. You can also go over here. I've moved it 15 degrees. Let's see if I need it. 16. Ooh, 16 degrees looks pretty good. I might have needed 15.5, but you can see that's not quite enough. So you can keep typing that in until you get, whoops, not 160, 16 degrees, or whatever it takes for you to have that then hit the ground plane. And it's probably closer to 16.1 or something, but that's probably pretty close. I can live with that. So then we're going to say, okay. Now, when you look at this, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. That's the angle I want it to hold my phone. If my piece was too long or this was too vertical for me, I could shorten my piece. Remember how we would do that? If we were going to shorten this body, select the body, and you'll see that when you select a body, there's the three little marks over it. I could go down here, control click, edit feature, and I could make that instead of 120, I could make it 100 and say okay. And then you can see it no longer touches my ground plane, right? It's above the ground plane. If I then wanted to see what that angle would be, I would select both again, hit the M key, move that. All right, somewhere in that ballpark, right? You can tell it's a little bit off. I'm a little below the ground plane over here. So's this, whatever, pretty close. But you can see that the angle is different than what I had before. It's tilting a little bit further back in space than it was. So anyway, get your angle correct because you're not going to cut your pieces until it's doing what you want it to do, right? So let's say I like this angle better than the last angle that I had. Fabulous. As always, I'm just going to hit save because this is the thing that I want to keep. And now I want to turn it into a drawing. One of the easiest ways to turn this into a drawing is to make sure that both of your pieces are on one of the origin planes and on the same origin plane flat, on the same surface, right? Let's say I want to align this piece, this centerpiece, to this plane, right? It's still weird and like at a strange angle, but it's on this plane looking straight at me, right? Great, no problem, fabulous. I'm going to do the same thing to the other piece, right? I'm going to modify, align, and again, I'm going to go get that center point, truly I am, center point here, and I'm going to align it to that same, I'm going to just align it to the other board, right? So now they're both in the same plane, right? Right? They're both flat on. They're taking up the same space, but that's okay. We can live with this. So we're going to do that, and then I'm going to hit my move key, and I'm going to take one of these guys and move it up so they're not overlapping anymore. Hello. A little bit more. Not overlapping. You don't want them touching. Okay, so that looks weird but fine. It's basically what we're going for. So now I'm going to go over here to the drawing from design, and A3 is fine. It's about the size of the bed of the Glowforge. And I only want the visible bodies because you can see I have a body that's not visible. I don't want to see that anyway, so that's good. And we want it horizontal. Sorry, the orientation down here, landscape, right? And this takes a second to pull up all the information because it has to think. And I put this here, and it's like, okay, wait, I'm looking at the edge. I don't want the edge. I want, let's try one of the sides. Hello, much better. Now, these look really small. How do we know they're small? Well, I know I need a bigger phone stand than that, if that's an A3 piece of paper. So over here, you're going to see something called scale, right? A 1:2 scale is like a fraction, like it's making it half the size. So a full size is 1:1, because 1/1 is 1, right? Full size. So that's the size that we want. And then I can go over here and put down, all I have to do is click in place, and there's my 2 pieces ready to be cut out by laser cutter, almost. A couple of things that make this easier. Your sheet settings, these 2 things are the title block and the edge thing that we don't really need. So we can get rid of those. And then all you have is your 2 bodies right here, right? If I wanted to see my other body, I could, but I don't want that. And you're ready to go. Yeah? So now all you have to do is go over to Exports to PDF, because the Glowforge needs a PDF. And I'm going to say okie dokie, and I'm going to give it a name, and this is my phone stand, and I'm going to give it a name, your name, because honestly, if everybody in a class of 23 calls it phone stand 1 at best, or untitled 3 at worst, we're never going to find anything, right? I am going to call it prototype 1, because I'll have another one of these later if I make changes, right? It may be that my prototype 1 works, and I'm done, and everybody's happy, but maybe not. And that's all you need. You're good to go, right? Up here you'll see, oh, yeah, you want to make sure you also save your drawing so you don't have to redo it again. Be nice. So up here I'm going to save this. Again, same thing. I'm going to call this prototype 1 here. And now my tab is here. I can go back to my design. Lovely. And now I want to put it back together, right? Because I can always put it back flat again if I want to. So I'm going to bring this back. Where do I want to bring it back to here? Bring it back to here. Here we go. Right? Not too bad. Ooh, that's the one that was up in the air. Let me move this one more this way. And one more this way. There we go. Okay. So I'm back before I pulled them apart and aligned them to anything, right? Now I need some images for my slides, right? And I want quality images for those slides, not this gray thing on a grid background, okay? So to do that, we're going to go into Render. And in Render, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to go to Appearance. In your Appearance library, you have 50 gajillion things. One of which is wood, but you could make it anything. And anything that's already been downloaded won't have a little icon next to it. If it's not been downloaded, like mahogany glossy, very fancy, I can download that. But actually, I kind of like the bamboo idea. So we're going to do this. If I want one body to be different from the other body, I can do that, right? I can also do faces. So say I wanted the front to be mahogany and the edge to be bamboo or whatever. I could do faces. Generally, Generally you're doing bodies. So I'm going to drag this over here and put it on this body. And look, it now looks like bamboo. I'm going to go put it on the second body. You can drag it over to the body over here if you want to. If I wanted a nice contrast for some reason, I could do that. Looks kind of fancy that way. Up to you. I could, honestly, I could make it mirrored. Mirror doesn't look very good though. Got shiny gold. Where's my gold? Polished gold. It's going to be a bit much, I think, probably, but honestly, you can do whatever you want. So there's my shiny gold with a metal piece going through the middle. Whatever. So once you've given it an appearance, right? Oh, look, shiny gold. We have to do a couple other things. One, we don't want this origin thing messing up our pictures. So you go over here and blink the origin. Yay. And you'll also notice, see how the shadow's falling in front of your piece? That means the lighting is coming from behind it. You never want to light anything from behind. Like, seriously. That's just not the way to go. So, okay, not never, but like rarely. So I'm going to go over to setup up here. That's this little guy. And I'm going to move the position. Lets me move where the light's coming from. And I would like my light to be from a little bit more like that. So it's a little shinier on the front. Thank you very much. Actually, maybe I can do this and bring it around. The other thing that you can do, we can flatten the ground, or we can do reflections. I'm going to add reflections, right? So that I've got this mirrored thing, mirrored thing going. Oh, if you're rotating and you're using this guy, you can also go down here to orbit and be like, okay, that's a little smoother to do that. And you want to get an angle, and you want the light so you can see your piece. And then we want to get all this stuff out of the way. You can either, at this point, zoom so that you've got what you want to see and take one screenshot here. That's not too bad. Go back to orbit. I'm going to orbit that around a little bit. You can get a different view, right? You might want a slight view from behind for whatever reason. Although the lighting from here is horrible, so maybe not. But decide what you need for your slides, right? This is where you decide. Also, FYI, because you might as well know, you can, let's say I want shiny, glossy, wooden fabulousness. I kind of like it when I've got that ombre thing. Oops. Ombre thing going on. So it's not oops. Come. Here we go. There we go. Nice little shadow going on. So from here, you can also go to In Canvas Render, Capture Image. We want a transparent background so that you get the piece and then you can put it on your slide without having the background. You also lose the reflections, which is kind of annoying, but let's see what that looks like. Okay, so again, call this something prototype 1, transparent. The ping file will give you the transparency. I can save it. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Right? There it is with transparency, and that's easy to drop on a slide. Here's the version with the background if I like the mirrored stuff. All no problem. Okay, so we've done all the things. We can go back to our design now. And when you go back to your design, it's still rendered. It's kind of fun. We've got the pieces together. We changed the angle so it looks functional. We rendered it. We've we've gone to the drawing, and we've saved it as exported it to a PDF. You are all set and ready to go. Let's cut your first prototype.